So, Clarence, let me start with you since we do go a long way back. And you and I can say that this is a discussion that has been had, quite frankly, for generations. This is nothing new talking about race in the media. And one has to, I think, before we get into any of the particulars, ask whether or not the media really wants to see diversity in its ranks, not just among those who report, but those who make the decisions. Because at the end of the day, those are the most important people who sit in the newsroom, who determine what's going to be in the newspaper, what's going to be covered on television, how much time or space is given to it, etc. So do you believe, in fact, that this is something that the media as a collective wants to, A, deal with, if we believe Eric Holder, maybe they don't, and B, do they, in fact, see it as important?
The media do see it as important. If we're talking about media management and owners, we're a service business. We want to serve the public. But I think we got to establish a few fundamentals here first. Number one, black folks and white folks in general have a different attitude about the need to talk about race. White people on the whole are rather reluctant to talk about race compared to black folks who can't stop talking about race. So it's a difference in culture between the races in America that is reflected in the media, which are made up of different races and also serve an audience of the different folks. Number two, the Obama campaign deracialized the campaign. And we, as part of our pathology in the press, tend to follow the campaigns, and we can talk more about that. But there's always this constant Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote scenario with every presidential campaign, and I've lived through a bunch of them. We in the media always say, well, we're going to get them this time. And no, they always come up with something new, whether it's a Karl Rove or a Lee Atwater, or in this case, David Axelrod, who was an intern under me in the 70s. And I claim to have taught him everything, but it's quite the opposite. He was brilliant when he came to us as a 24-year-old intern, and he's only gotten smarter. First smart move was leaving newspapers, but we'll talk about that later. Against my advice, by the way, so never take career advice from me. Number three, well, let me just say for a minute, why did Obama deracialize the campaign? Because David, who has, and not just David alone, but David has worked campaigns where he's trying to sell black candidates to white folks, beginning with the Harold Washington campaign in the early 80s, going through Mayor White in Cleveland, the mayor in Philadelphia, the governor of Massachusetts now. And certain scenarios occurred in each instance. If you want to reach white voters, deracialize your candidate as much as possible. Leave it to us in the media to racialize things, and that's what happened here in this race between Hillary Clinton, Obama, McCain, etc. Number three, the mainstream media serve this broad audience, so we're trying to reach everybody. And that means race is just one of a whole bunch of different issues. With the new media now, which are much more firmly targeted, if you want to get racialized news, go to theroot.com, go to a number of different places you can go to and get much better day-to-day coverage of race relations per se. Number four, the Obama campaign and the Obama presidency are two different stories. Let's establish that. The Obama campaign has happened. It is history with a capital H. Nobody can take that away from him. Now he's the president, and as The Onion put it so well in their post-election headline, black guy gets world's worst job. The fact that he is black, white, biracial, whatever, is just a small piece of the bigger story that's happening right now. Number five, and this is it, we in America, well, I used to think we were reluctant to talk about race like Eric Holder said yesterday. I have now come to believe, and I wrote a book on race relations a dozen years ago, and I'm trying to do another one, but the whole story keeps changing every day. I don't believe that anymore. I now think we Americans love to talk about race if it helps us to avoid talking about class. Know what I'm saying? I was thinking about calling my next book Overlooking the Underclass. You want to talk about race being covered in this campaign? Race was covered very well compared to inequality, general economic inequality. And that's the big story we got to deal with now with this new economic crisis that we are in. Because like what was the wise man said years ago, former head of the Urban League years ago said, we all came over here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. So thank you for your indulgence.